Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'd like to go through one of Vulnhub machines, which is ColldWorld Immersion. The link will be put into the video below so that you can download and play on your own. This is the beginner level machine. Before we get started, however, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Now, let's jump in, get started. We can head over to Kali Linux. First of all, we need to discover the IP address of the target. And we can use this command or this tool to discover the IP address of the target. All right, as you can see over here, the IP address of the target could be recognized as 177. As you know, the two IP addresses belong to the host machine and the internal DHCP server of VirtualBox. So what shall we do next? We need to perform port and self scanning with a map. To save time of this video, I've already done that before. So now we can simply get out its result. As you can see over here, I took the options like scene scan, the default script scan, followed by the virtual scan, and full range port scan. The last option of all is ON to output the result into this file. So then we can retrieve scanning results if necessary. From the map scanning results, we can tell that the target has two open ports. The first one is 80, which is running HTTP service, and also the version information Apache 2. And the second one is 3042, which is running SSH service. As you see, this is not a default port number by SSH service. And also its version information, Open SSH, and including its version number. Though this version is a bit outdated, I don't think we can find any workable vulnerability. So what are we going to do next? We need to enumerate the web application both manually and automatically. Let's fire up the browser to do the manual enumeration first, and we can put the IP address of the target into the address bar. Press enter. Just some kind of actions. I don't think, okay, author, there is hyperlink, but this would be redirect to internet, which is beyond the scope of this lab, okay? And also we can check its source code. So here there is one comment, but this comment doesn't have any actual meaning. The act, JavaScript code, and particles, minimal JavaScript. Okay, nothing here. Next, we can check to see whether we can access robots file. Not found. And also we need to check its source code. So nothing here. Next, I think let me bring up the terminal window to perform automatic enumeration with this web application. The first utility I'd like to run is Nicto. Let me hit enter. You know Nicto, so the target information, the version information, and also some kinds of a header and the allowed HTTP methods. You know, just I mentioned over and over, if the target web application allows dangerous methods such as put, and then we can utilize this dangerous method for our purpose to upload web shell to the target, and also found CSS or cascade style sheet directory. this is always contains some kinds of CSS file, some static file. So nothing here. Okay, so next we need to conduct the directory immersion. Let me autocomplete this command. Gobuster can support various subcommands, and this one is Dirb, which is short for directory immersion. Although Gobuster can conduct or perform some kinds of like DNS immersion, the subdomain or virtual host immersion, Gobuster is very strong. But I prefer to use Gobuster to conduct directory immersion. Okay, and also use the option of -u to specify the URL, and use -w to specify the word list. And I always use this word list. This is a medium size word list, although sometimes we need to combine or try different word lists. And also last option of all is -x to specify the extensions like PHP file, HTML file, text, back. Depends on situation. We need to put some or more extensions. Okay. So now, when it's going on, we can take a look at discovered directory like login, and login very, very secure. Interesting. And we can put like admin and admin to login, but nothing returned. No error, no success message. And also we can check its source code. So here, hi, cows. If you read this, I have gone on a trip. Let me tell you, after the last attack we received, thanks to your inactivity as a web developer, we had to make password changes. But since he doesn't use a mobile phone or home computers, a bit weird since you're a web developer. Yes, indeed. I left clues on the page for you to find your password. I know it will be easy because you are good for detecting security flaws. Or so I thought before the attack. I leave your password in a file called this file that is inside this directory. So I think this is very important discovery we can copy. And we can put over here. So immersion, cows. I think the message which lies in this block of comment is telling us to get the password we need to access this file. Even we are given its path should be inside or under this directory. However, right now we cannot access this file. So I think this would be a very reasonable step to perform or to see whether this application is vulnerable to local file inclusion vulnerability. Okay, and just now, of course, let's go back to the terminal and also found WP. Let's take a look at this directory as well. WP. So someday I will be a WordPress, not today. Okay, and secure. We can take a look at this directory as well. Secure. So this is just a simple default page. Okay, so I think, if you just now we put something to log in, and we can get this page, account PHP. So, and this login form is not effective at all. So maybe we need to check whether this page exists local file inclusion vulnerability, and this involves fuzzing technique, okay? And although we can use FAV or we can use fuzz too, but I prefer to use the latter one, okay? Fuzz, let me autocomplete this command. So I use the -C to color output and then specify the URL. And we can use this fuzz as placeholder. You know, this or whole, this would be replaced by the word from the word list during runtime. And then, as you know, the password file always there on the Linux machine, okay? After all, we know the target machine is Linux. And also, to make sure we can access this file, we need to put enough layers of upper layer. You know, the double dots means upper layer, okay? So, for example, this, the first, you know, this one means we'll go back to the upper layer and then again upper layer. So you got my point. Go to until reach the root of the directory, okay? So now we can press enter. Okay, a lot of the put. So, you know, to differentiate the rubbish output and the payload, what we want, we can use filter. And sometimes we need to use different filters. But in most cases, this word filter can work, okay? And so 0, we can press enter. Almost immediately we can get the, you know, the payload or, you know, this payload which can work, okay? So now we can, maybe I can use the command line to access password file. So we successfully retrieve content of password file. This indeed confirms our earlier guess. So here we find 2 usernames, okay? And this is a code and cows. Normally what can we do? We need to test whether, for example, we can access a private key, and also like if we can access log file of the Apache server, something like that. But since earlier we have been told to get the password, we need to access this file, okay? So now, and we can access this file, var, and we can get the passwords, okay? So the first impression is that we can use this password to log in to this page, okay? So now login, for example, the cows and cows. Oh, not this one. So cows and password. So what's the password? Login. But just I said earlier, this login page is not actually working, okay? Whatever we submit, we will get nothing from the web application. So maybe this password is or username is used by SSH. So let's SSH to the target with this username. Of course, this time we must explicitly specify the port number by option of -P. Okay, press enter, and we can copy this password. But it seems it's not working. Very weird. Actually, you know, this password is encoded by base 64. So this is the actual clear text password. Okay, let me SSH to the target again. We can copy this password and paste over here. Now we are in the target machine, or we have already got share on the target. Next, we can run commands interactively, okay? And so we need to do some kind of local immersion. The bash history, nothing here. And sorry, you need to, ignore such history commands. This is the, this is I left the command I left when I did the machine the first time. So we can check sudo, and we can supply the password again. So here we can get another bash shell or to the, of course, this bash shell should, what we will get belong to another user. Okay, so we need to use sudo, and very important, we need to use option of -u to specify the user name. Okay, code and bin bash. As you can see, we have already become another user. Next, we need to gather more information. We can go to the home directory of this user. Home, go to, and then we can get the user flag without any problem. And also, you can notice this Python script do not run. Very interesting file name. But we can cut out this file. So just, sorry about this. So, originally this file, this Python script contains some other script, and we can run sudo. As you can see, we can run Python with this script to make privilege escalation. However, the original file, we do not have permission to, originally the owner of this file is root, and also the group is root. Sorry about this, because so we cannot modify or manipulate the file itself. However, we can occasionally we can remove this file. Do not, and we can write our own Python code to this file. So for example, import OS module and system bash. Okay, and then we can not overwrite. We have to delete the original do not run Python file first, and then we can create new file with the same file name, do not run. Okay, so now we just run sudo again, and we can sudo, and we can copy the entire path. As you can see, we have already become the root user. Okay, and cd to root directory to grab the root flag. So it's done. To quickly recap, we manually enumerate the web application to find the comment which contains very important information. Okay, and then we try to use some kinds of fuzzing techniques to find the parameter name, and then of course we can access the password file, also the file which contains the password. Okay, of course, so up to this point we can get the shell on the target. Then we try to run sudo to make lateral movement, and finally we can manipulate this script, the do not here, home, go to code. Although originally this Python file is not accessible, is not modifiable by control or the user or any other user, only root user. However, because this file is located in the home directory of the user code. So we can delete this file and then create new file with the same file name. And then we can run sudo to get our privilege escalated. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. I'd like to see you in the next one. Bye. Have a nice day, please.